I'd be happy to help craft a story based on that voiceover script while making it feel natural and engaging. Here's a reworked version that follows the style and tone you're looking for, keeping the pacing casual, personal, and with plenty of room for emotional beats and twists. You ever find yourself just minding your own business, living your life, and then bam, something happens that makes you wonder if you've been living in some kind of dream world all along? Yeah, that's how it went down for me, one Friday afternoon. I pull up to my gate and I see two trucks parked behind it like they've been invited. I didn't know who they were, but I knew something wasn't right. Now I own 76 acres out in southern Missouri, nothing fancy. Just some rolling hardwoods and a creek that runs through the middle of it like it's just doing its own thing. My granddad bought it in 1962. After he came back from Korea, paid cash, no bank involved. My dad made sure the land was taken care of, marked, respected. When it passed to me, it wasn't just a deed. It came with a whole way of doing things. The boundaries, they're old, but they're clear. Iron pins set in concrete at every corner. Survey filed at the courthouse. Every spring, I grab a bucket of purple paint and walk the line painting trees so nobody can say they didn't see the marks. Purple means no trespassing. And it's not just some old folklore, it's the law. I've never leased my hunting rights. If somebody hunts here, it's because I shook their hand and said, "You're welcome." Sometimes it's my cousin and his kid. Other times it's my buddy Ray from church. But I don't just sell weekends to strangers like it's a hotel. Now there's a guy who lives east of me, Travis McCall. He runs a small guiding outfit for deer hunters, mostly out-of-state folks looking for a Midwest buck to hang above the fireplace. He bought his place 5 years ago, about 40 acres. We weren't close, but we'd wave at each other, talk about the weather. He'd throw out the occasional, "You ever think about leasing out your land, man? There's money in those woods." And I'd always tell him I wasn't sitting on money, I was sitting on peace. That's worth more to me. But then last November, I pulled up my gravel drive and saw those trucks sitting there inside my gate. The gate wasn't locked, never needed to lock it during the day. And the signs were clear, or so I thought. I parked slow, got out of my truck, and right away I could hear voices by the creek. But it was the laminated tags nailed to my fence posts that got my stomach turning. They read "Authorized Access, Ridgeline Outdoor Adventures." That wasn't my sign. Ridgeline was Travis's business. I walked down toward the creek boots crunching over the leaves, and sure enough, I saw two men in blaze orange moving through my timber like they'd been here before. One of them pulled out a map folded and ready. "Can I help you fellas?" I asked, keeping my tone even but firm. They turned around like they were caught doing something they weren't supposed to. "We've got exclusive access this weekend through Ridgeline," one of them said, handing me a contract. I looked it over. Sure enough, there it was, Travis's signature. And the map, it included my creek bottom, my oak stand, everything. I let out a breath. "This land you're standing on," I said, "it's not Travis's to lease." They looked confused, like they had just realized their tickets were counterfeit. We pulled up the parcel map before booking. The younger one said, "It shows expanded acreage this year." "Expanded," I repeated. That's one way to put it. I pulled out my own map and explained it to them, plain. This land was mine, and Travis didn't have the right to lease it. They didn't argue, just packed up, embarrassed. As they walked back to their trucks, the younger one muttered something about expanded acreage and how Travis had advertised it. I watched them leave, tires spitting gravel. But instead of heading straight over to Travis's, I took a step back. This wasn't a simple mistake, it was planned. Contracts, advertising, money changing hands. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my dad's old deeds spread out, thinking about how land holds memories. My granddad clearing brush, my dad teaching me how to track animals, me teaching my niece to fish that same creek. It wasn't about deer hunting. It was about someone deciding they could turn my family's land into an inventory item. So instead of confronting Travis that night, I drove west to the county office the next morning looking for answers, not revenge answers. I talked to the game warden, Daniel Harper. He's been the warden around here for almost a decade. Tall, lean, the kind of guy who can make you tell the truth just by being quiet. I laid the contract on his desk and he read it without a word. After a moment, he said, "If he's charging for access, he doesn't legally control. That's unlawful commercialization." He got up and said, "Let's go take a ride." We headed to my place. The laminated Ridgeline tag was still nailed to my fence. Harper took photos, walked the boundary with a GPS unit. He measured. We walked all the way down to the creek where Travis had decided it was a natural divider. It wasn't. We kept walking, each step measured. When we reached the end of the boundary, Harper turned to me and said, "How many clients have you seen?" Just 2 yesterday, I said. Well, I think we've got a case here, he said. Harper didn't waste any time. We headed over to Travis's place, and when Travis saw us, his smile tightened. He knew what was coming. You're selling access to land you don't control, Harper said. Do you have permission? Travis hesitated, just long enough to reveal the truth. We had a conversation about partnering up a couple years ago, he said. But nothing was written. Harper looked at him calm as ever. A conversation isn't permission, he said. And you're charging for something that's not yours. The fines came in the mail a couple of days later. 3 violations for unlawful commercialization, 3 for trespassing. Travis's outfitter permit was suspended, and he lost most of the season. Word got around quick in our little county. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to, but it felt like balance had been restored. A week later, Travis came by. He was different, tired, humbled. I screwed up, he said. We stood there on my porch, the sun low in the sky. He admitted what I already knew, that he saw my land as wasted space and thought he could profit off it. But land isn't just for making money. It's family. It's history. You're going to take down every single ridgeline sign on my land, I told him. You're going to refund every client who booked access that included my creek bottom. And you're going to put it in writing that my property is off limits to your business permanently. He didn't like it, but he did it. I watched from my kitchen window that night as he took those signs down one by one. And his website, it got updated showing less acreage, more accurate. But here's the thing. Land doesn't just belong to the person who owns it on paper. It holds memories. It's tied to family. And when you start assuming access instead of asking for permission, that's when things break. So here's the question. If you came home and found strangers hunting your family's ground with a contract that wasn't yours to give, what would you do? Would you have handled it the same way? Drop your thoughts below. Was it justice or overkill? I'm genuinely curious. And if you've ever had a boundary dispute or someone treat your land like an opportunity, let's hear your story. Out here, lines matter. How far would you go to defend yours?
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.